patriotic. It was nice and cool to be in New Zealand. You got all the wonderful games on the back of your seat, next seat, and that was very quick. It took, how long did it take you? 11 hours, and we were in Osaka. Now you'll see Pearl Island. It's not far from Osaka, and we went from Osaka down to Hiroshima, or Hiroshima as some people say. And we went from Osaka to Hiroshima, and but before we went to Hiroshima, Natsumi's parents picked us up in Osaka at the airport with big smiles and 2 wonderful big vehicles. And within probably an hour of being in Osaka, the boys had traced down by Natsumi's instructions where the donut shop was. Any comments, Ethan? Were they good? Yeah. I actually think Ethan even got a card for a frequent user. We stayed in Osaka in a youth hostel which was attached to a stadium, and the stadium had been built for the World Soccer of about 1988 or something like that. And around it, it had a lot of park areas. A lot of training was done along here, not necessarily on the bikes, but you saw a lot of people in teams doing running and laps around the stadium. Thanks, Evie. It took them about 10 minutes to look out the window and find right next to the complex was a water slide. Does anyone want to talk about water slide? Oh, it was hot, was it? Okay, so they spent hours in here, and that was right at the side of the complex, which is cool. Thank you. Now, Erica, that's fascinated Erica, and she drew her by her enthusiasm, all of us, into enjoying seeing people around Osaka being very skilled. And this is really male and female doing more than one thing at once. They'd be on their bike, it'd be teeming with rain, and they'd hold an umbrella at the same time. I thought that was clever. And we didn't think we could do it, but Erica proved we could. So thanks, Erica. This was another group of Japanese students that were staying at the youth hostel. This was Natsumi's family. Her dad is on the right, and 2 little sister and brother in front, and obviously her mother was taking the photo. In the background is Osaka Castle. Very hot there. Lots of people. We went shopping, and Natsumi's family knew where to take us to do shopping, which is cool. Thank you. Now, I think, was it Courtney took this photo. Whoopsie, and then along go. Yep. So we didn't really see a lot in that traditional clothes, but we thought that man looked quite amazing. Okay. I took this photo because that jolly fellow seemed to be following us with his eyes all the time. Okay, we really went to Hiroshima to see the Peace Park, but within 3 minutes the Kiwis found the river and a whole lot of crabs and other creepy crawlies that they thought they could share with me. I wasn't really that interested, but I was impressed with their willingness to pick up crabs and other little frogs and so forth. Now that on the left is a dome and building that survived the blast, and it survived the blast because the windows released the pressure. Right, move this along. That was the students thinking they were getting away from me. And this was a scary moment. This is where we arrived at the host town, and this is where all these Japanese people live. A very beautiful town in a valley, lots of trees, a bit like Hamner Springs, a mix between Hamner Springs and Arthur's Pass. This is their students walking into assembly. They are in their sports uniform, teaching in the class. This is Aki, who was a wonderful translator for us as well as teacher. And here, see there's a frog in the front. Now, do you think he's facing up to the top or down to the bottom? The top. Why is he looking at the top? Right. There's a snake up there. What do snakes eat? Frogs. So the frog wasn't going to turn around. He kept his eyes there. Now, that is on the school grounds. And good old me forgot to tell the students that they really should be careful of snakes. This is the town centre. This is where we had hot pools, we could put our feet. I don't know if the students want to describe what the other hot pools were like. Mrs. Ewing and I were taken to the flash pools, and the flash pools were absolutely beautiful. You had combined swimming in your bathing togs. The students were taken to the other pool, which was segregated for one good reason, but they coped. This is what you see everywhere because it's so humid, you need cold drinks. This is our energetic bunch. We had one day where we were swimming in the Japanese Sea, and we went on that banana boat out behind those rocks. It was really absolutely brilliant. And then I went camel riding, as we didn't realise you could do in Japan. And of course here they're going on the third shot jump in the air. Now that was a sculpture. That sculpture was made out of sand. That was pretty amazing, and I'm just going to skip now. This is what you see everywhere that the student would be walking across a road. The roads were very narrow, the drivers were very careful, but there were huge signs and a lot of importance put on safety of children. This is a photo of Beth. Beth, would you like to say something?
Those are really big.
Right, you'll see Beth is at the bottom of the photo, and those footers are extremely high. This is our wonderfully well-behaved students. And again, we've arrived back home. So that just gives you a very quick view of what we enjoyed in Japan.